Helplessness. Wow, that's such a big one for me. I had the first 30 years of my life in organised crime, and for 30 years I virtually worked every day. I was certainly on call almost every day. There was a couple of times that I was ill beyond working, but even when ill, I would usually take up the yoke and do what I was supposed to do. I was third from the top in a mafia, which my job was a management job in the garage and in the hallway of the house near my front door at Lugano. I had Armani suit, handmade shoes, tailor-made shirts, and I also had a full set of leathers hanging in both the garage and near the front door because I didn't know what I was going to. And we had very early model pages, and I think it was a 5-digit number I'd received. The first 3 digits told me the location that I was going to. I knew them all by memory after 30 years, of course. The 4th digit told me the type of incident I had to deal with, and the last digit was the degree of urgency. So that determined whether I drove a car. I rarely did that. I had 2 1300 Kawasaki motorbikes in the garage. The reason I had 2 was if I went out and one had a flat battery or for any reason didn't want to play, I had a reserve that I could jump on, and I could be into the city of Sydney in pretty much 20 minutes. How I never got arrested for speeding is beyond me. I never travelled the same way home twice in a row. I varied my routes always. I flew under the radar. I was a ghost. I'm still a ghost today. If you go to Google, I don't appear. But like most young men, I guess, well, certainly for me, fear was something I never succumbed to. I've been fired on a few times. But it was my job to protect a couple of B&D houses, a high number of brothels and Chinese gambling houses. The Chinese gambling houses, I had to wear a suit to fit in. The others, I'd just wear the leathers and hightail it and deal with the problem. Usually drunks that had to be removed from the premises and their money paid if they hadn't. And it was my job to see that that happened and manage the premises, make sure everyone's paid, everything's clean and tidy, doctor's appointments kept. Over 30 years, I made a lot of friends. I've had occasions where I've removed people violently from brothels, and they've been laying bloodied in the grass on the curbside, and I call the ambulance and the police invariably got there first and said, "Oh, you got another one, John." I mean, they were paid in those days as permission to operate, if you like. So we were all on first name businesses, but the police were never interested in investigating crimes against prostitutes or gambling houses. I mean, they were illegal activities they were paid for. They just wanted to stay away from them. the only sensation in my life that brought me up cold was I lost 2 girls on my watch. I was coming back from business in Orange in southeastern New South Wales, and I got to Emu Plains, and there was a bottle shop there that sold alcohol, and it was a really hot afternoon, and I pulled the bike in, and I bought 1 can of beer, and I was sitting sideways on the bike out the front of the shop in the shade of a tree, and I knew that the Harris Park house would open at 2 o'clock, and the girl that was opening it was a friend. She was actually married with a couple of little girls. And it was probably 1:15, and I was finishing the can of beer. And I thought, well, I go in and see that Katrina's fine and there's no problems. Or will I go the back way through, I forget the name of the suburb, doesn't matter. I could turn right off the highway and take a back way home to Lugano. And I was lazy, and I thought, no, I won't go into Harris Park. I'll go straight home. I've had enough for the weekend. Had I gone to Harris Park, I would have arrived there probably at the same time as Katrina was opening the house. That was her working name, so I permitted to say that. And she was found dead. A guy came in and battered her to death with a hammer. And I felt absolutely devastated and helpless. But helplessness was the main feeling. I've always been a person that was the go-to guy. It was my job to make sure things worked. And if I feel helpless, particularly where a loved one's concerned, it's not a tragedy, but it's a highly emotional moment for me. And it's difficult for me to maintain balance and sufficient poise to work through it. And it's certainly an Achilles heel. I would work much better if I were not friendly with the staff. But I find that difficult. I don't judge people because of their occupation. I judge them by their humanity. Helplessness will always bring me undone, and it doesn't even need to be a loved one. I mean, if someone was being incinerated in a car and I was unable to get them out and save them, I'd feel the same. I would feel absolutely terrible. There's so few times in my life that I've been helpless, so few times that it's a feeling that really affects me very deeply. Anyway, you've heard enough of my rant for the day. You guys enjoy yourself. Don't get into any trouble. I don't want to come and save anyone today. I want a peaceful day. Bye.